last Tuesday, a week ago. We had 2 shows last Tuesday, and that was all we did last week. So it's been a week. It was a nice little break, Thanksgiving festivities. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, of course, and of course shopping and a lot of pre-Christmas stuff going on, decorations and early Christmas shopping, all that good stuff. So hope you all had a great weekend, a great holiday. And now I went back to kind of that, that in-between period that is, very, a lot of pre-Christmas stuff going on, decorations and very sorry about that. I had a little bit of an echo. My apologies on that. Very rare that happens. You go on Google and I always start the show and it opens right up, and for some reason I'm having it's streamed on my Google Plus page at this. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's something you guys will need to know about. But I had streaming on 2 things at once. I didn't think that was going to happen. So my apologies on that. Okay, so as I was saying, now we're in that in between period. If you're religious, Advent, or of course now the Christmas season, if you will. And now it's like, okay, you got that 4-week period, it's shopping, decorations, everything done. It's such a hectic period. And, it's so funny. I was just thinking about this the other day. You get out of Thanksgiving and you have Black Friday, which is crazy. And then, at the weekend itself, the rest of the weekend, you're kind of recouping from Thanksgiving, day before Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday. And then you turn around, you're back to work, you're back to school, and then it's like you look at it and go, wow, there's 4 weeks till Christmas. And then maybe at times you might feel like, oh, it seems like such a long time, it's going to be a long kind of thing. And then, what happens? It's not. This is such a hectic period of time. Like I remember when I was a little kid, when I was a little kid, it seemed like forever waiting for Christmas. But as you get older, you start to realize there's so much that you have to do that it flies by. And before you know it, it's New Year's, and then you're in January. And to me, that's the longest time of year. January, February, and March is just the longest time of year. It really, truly is. And because of winter and everything else. But, we're in that period now where for many people, it's just so hectic and life is so hectic. And, I think it's important to note that, if there's anything, and I don't like getting on a soapbox and trying to advise people. I don't like to be, preachy on here and everything like that. But every once in a while, I throw in a little bit of a knowledge thing or a moment of zen, if you will, or something like that. Anyway, my thing would be, if there's anything you want to do with this year's Christmas season, appreciate the moments. Take a breath, have some moments of quiet. Don't let everything pass you by. Try to enjoy it, especially in light of recent events in the world. Appreciate every moment, appreciate everybody you love and everybody enjoy it, make memories, and make sure you understand too that the season's about giving. The season's about, if you're religious, it's about God and Jesus is coming and birth. It's about, but always also about family, friends, loved ones, enjoying and giving. And that's what it's about. So, give to those less fortunate, give to charities, give your time, give. Maybe there's people that you've been ignoring, or maybe there's people that you haven't spent a lot of time with that, maybe you want to make a special effort to do that. Relatives might be, or old friends or something like that. Just take a little bit of initiative over this season. And it's not, you shouldn't just do that at this time of year, but this time of year is like a reminder of those kind of things, of things that maybe we should do that we don't. And, that's your choice. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do or get preachy. I'm sorry if anybody gets offended or anything like that. But, I think that's something that I'm looking to do this year, is try to be a little more cognizant of a lot of these things and, try to be better at certain things. So, this is a real helpful, friendly advice from your host here. So let's hope for a peaceful, nice, happy, joyous Christmas holiday season and safe holiday season for all. All right, so here we are, our first show of December. Hard to believe that the year is a month away from coming to an end. Our first show of December, again, we will have 3 shows this week. As for the schedule, I'll get into in a few moments. I also want to point out, too, I will be hosting the show by myself tonight. My co-host, Mike, is off tonight. He has a job-related training he has to be at, so he will not be with us tonight. He will be back with us on Thursday night's program. So we wish him well in his training, and we'll see him back here on Thursday night. Also, a little bit of a change to the schedule. You might have looked at the show description for time. Wait. Why are we doing that on Tuesday? Don't we usually do that on Thursday? Ooh, I'm swerving you all tonight. It's kind of weird, huh? I'll explain more about why we changed the rotation this week. And I'll explain more about what's coming up this week and beyond in a few moments. But as always, as we start the show, I want to remind you all of the ways in which you can interact and contribute to the show. You can do so by calling in. Not calling in. Oh, I'm still thinking we're on TalkShoe. Wow. By emailing us, I should say. Emailing us at itspotlightbg@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight. Wow. I'm looking at my old notes. I apologize. Scrap everything I just said, everybody. It's been a long week off. You can tell I'm rusty when I'm repeating stuff from like 8 months ago. Scratch all that. The ways in which you can participate and interact with us and contribute to the show are: you can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5. That one, of course, represents our 5th year on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, in the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. Make sure you like our page when you find us. There we go. Only took me two chances, but I finally got it right. It makes me wonder if sometimes I get that wrong. Like I do what I just did, and I don't realize it. I caught myself this time. I wonder if I do that more often. If I do, none of you let me know about it. But I apologize for that. It's been a week off. I'm a little rusty on these things. Oh my God! For the longest time, I was so used to In the Spotlight with Brian Gardner, or IT Spotlight BG, that now we have the In the Spotlight 401. I guess my mind's still not used to it. So I guess I still slip up every now and then. But anyway, apologies for that. All right, so here's the deal. You might have looked at the show description and said, "Wow, why are we doing that on Tuesday?" Well, here's the thing. Once I knew that my co-host was not going to be with us tonight, and sometimes that impacts the schedule, and sometimes it doesn't. This week it happened to do that. There are quite a normally we would do sports stuff tonight. We do like NBA, college basketball, all that good stuff. There are some things, news beats, that I want to cover with him. There are some times where I just think it's better to not do something on the show until you have both hosts, so that we can go back and forth and have an active and engaged discussion or debate over some of these things. So because of that, I decided to do the sports show on Thursday, because there's a lot of things that happened in the sports world over the last week that I want to talk with him and get his ideas on, and bounce my ideas off him. And that makes for a better show. It makes for a better discussion. So that's why I decided to do the sports stuff on Thursday and not tonight, because with him not being here, like things like Kobe Bryant's retirement, a lot of the college basketball stuff that took place last week, I want to cover that with him while he's on the air, so that we can work those topics off each other, instead of me just talking about them ad nauseum. So that's why I made the change. And there's also, of course, some MLB news too. We had a big signing today with David Price. We'll cover that on Thursday as well. So yeah, the sports stuff, I just think lent itself more to a show where both me and Mike are both present on the show. So that's why I thought it was best to leave that for Thursday. Also, we want to cover some wrestling stuff too, and it's probably better to leave that to Thursday too, because he knows. Look, I like wrestling, I watch it, but he knows far more about it in its history than I do, and it always makes for a better discussion with wrestling if he's here too. So that's why ultimately I decided to shift the sports and kind of wrestling aspect, sports and wrestling show that we usually do on Tuesday to Thursday of this week, and then do the entertainment stuff tonight, because stuff that while I do like when I have Mike here to talk about it with, it's not necessarily that vital. Like I can wing that without him being here. And most of the time he just kind of piggybacks on what I say on that anyway. So I thought this was just a better thing to do this week is switch the schedule up in light of him not being on the show tonight. And then that way, we get him on the show. We have the sports stuff on Thursday with him on the show, and then tonight I can just wing it with the entertainment stuff. So I felt like that was the right thing to do. So tonight you're going to get your usual entertainment kind of show that we usually do on Thursday. You're going to have box office beat, TV highlights of the week, and then maybe a little entertainment news discussion. We'll see. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I haven't seen anything in entertainment over the last week that I think has to be discussed. But you guys and girls out there have emailed me things that you think are interesting and stuff. We'll see. Depends on the time and everything. I didn't want to do an overly long show tonight because I think Thursday is going to run a little longer, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you're going to get your general usual entertainment stuff from us tonight. Well, from me tonight, and then of course Thursday, as I said, we have our second primetime show this week at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll get your usual sports and wrestling show that you usually get on Tuesday, and we'll cover everything from sports outside of football. Kobe Bryant's retirement, the David Price signing, everything that's taking place in college basketball. It'll be a very full show, and then do a little bit of wrestling and everything that's going on there with the developments in WWE and all that stuff. So that'll be Thursday's show. Now, that's two shows this week that we've talked about what we're going to be doing. What about that infamous third show, our In the Spotlight Football Blitz? What is going to happen with that this week? Well, as of right now, we are going to have that show on Thursday. So we're going to do a double show day on Thursday. Right now, let's look. In the Spotlight Football Blitz is scheduled for 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube this Thursday, which is December the 3rd. 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time, and as usual, we'll talk about last week's NFL games, including the big Thanksgiving Day games. We'll look ahead to this week's NFL games, talk about all the big developments in college football over last weekend because there were some huge ones. Look at the latest college football playoff rankings. Look ahead to this weekend, which is a big weekend, obviously, the last weekend of the college football season, conference championships, all that. We'll talk about all that on the Football Blitz this week, which again will be coming at you this Thursday, December 3rd at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we'll have our usual Thursday night primetime show here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday. So two shows on Thursday, both are both related to sports. So it'll be an all sports day here in the Spotlight 4-1 on Thursday. A lot of people have asked me, what are we going to be doing in December? What's the deal? I think a lot of our longtime fans are getting a little bored because we're not doing a whole lot special. We moved to Google Hangouts and YouTube, and everybody's like, boy, you know what? You guys got the live stream now. Are you going to do things differently now? Like, let's have some fun. Let's try some different things. Here's the thing. Because, this was such... we still haven't quite mastered this thing yet, and plus we still don't have our host site situation dealt with yet. And I was worried about. That's why I told you all last week. I wish it was done before the holiday, because if it was done before the holiday, then it would have been better. Now that with the holiday, that people didn't work on it, so it's kind of. Hopefully that by the end of this week that will be done. If it's not, I'm going to unleash like a fury because I'm very upset about that. But nonetheless. A lot of people would ask, hey, you guys are just kind of, doing the same things, and I'm like, well, gee, if we did that on Talk Show for 5 years, I mean, it's not like we're doing anything different. We're just doing it in front of a live stream, you guys and girls get to see me on screen, rotating in my chair and taking and looking at my notes and stuff like that. That's the only difference. But I understand the point. Look, we're still getting used to this thing. Okay, and then you throw in the holidays and all the things that life brings, and you know what? It is what it is. Okay, we do have some big stuff planned. Remember, this is still our 5th anniversary year. We're going to do some different things in January. When things start to finally settle down, because again, it's a very busy period. back in October, we had the anniversary, and then we moved to Google Hangouts and YouTube, and then, we've been trying to adjust to that, and then you go into Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then New Year's, and it's a very hectic period of time. It's probably the most hectic period of time of the year, to be honest. So, just bear with us. There's a lot of things that we want to do with the show. And there's a couple of big things I want to do this month. I'm not going to talk about them yet because I don't know. They might be just a pipe dream of mine. There's a lot of things I want to do with this show this month as we approach the holidays that I think will be fun to do and beneficial and very helpful, and and some cool things too, and fun things that we never done. We ain't gonna do them this week. Okay, we still have a few weeks before Christmas. We'll see if we can get any of these things in. I will tell you that next week we'll be doing a wrestling show on Thursday to preview WWE's TLC pay-per-view. We will do that. So you'll have that to look forward to next week, next Thursday. So you wrestling fans out there want to start sending in questions or comments via email, Facebook, or Twitter, you may do so. Again, it doesn't have to be just about WWE. It could be wrestling questions related to ROH, TNA, any of those wrestling organizations. So I can tell you that, but outside of that, I don't know really. Like, there's a lot of ideas in my head. I got a lot of ideas on paper. I'm researching a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to do. We'll see if they actually manifest. I don't want to sit here and say we're going to do this, this, and this, and then it doesn't happen, and I look like an idiot. I'm not going to do that. All I will tell you is hopefully we can get some of these special things that I have in mind on air this month, and if not, we'll be doing some big things in January. That I do know we will be doing. And February and March, and it'll be a lot of fun. And that I can tell you we're definitely going to do, because things won't be as hectic during that period of time. So just bear with us. Just bear with us. And I know a lot of longtime fans are like, oh gosh, I want to, now that part of the reason they moved to this new format was to make things a little different and do more. Well, you're not doing more. And then of course some new fans are like, is this all they do? But patience, things will get there. It's just, I said from the time we started this here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube that it was a work in progress, and it very much still is a work in progress. Trust me. So just bear with us over these next couple of weeks, and I promise you, there's different things coming up, and we're going to change things up a little bit now that we're kind of, again, still getting the hang of this, but we got the hang of this enough to be able to experiment a little bit. You'll be seeing some different things, and we'll be doing some different things. It'll be cool. You'll see. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, so that I addressed all that. Let's get right down to it. Let's get started here tonight on what we're going to be doing tonight. And again, it's our entertainment show for this week, box office discussion, TV highlights, and maybe a little entertainment news discussion. We'll see what happens with that. All right, so we're coming off of the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and obviously that's always looked at as a big weekend for the box office. This, and of course Christmas week, big for the holiday movies. A lot of people highlight Thanksgiving as bigger because of some people might have more time off. You might have the day before Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, and the actual 2-day weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So it's a big 5-day kind of period. And, and when you have this week, you always look at two sets of numbers. You look at the 3 days and you look at the 5 days. And most people look at the 5 days. But, you can look at it either way you want. Regardless, it's a weekend that the box office always looks at as a big weekend. And it was a big weekend. It lived up to it. Hunger Games, once again, was the box office champion, only dropping 49.3% with a $52 million weekend gross. That, again, keep that in mind. That is over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is not including Wednesday or Thursday. We'll talk more about the 5-day period in just a bit. First of all, let's just focus on Hunger Games for a second. We talked, so much was made last week about how it did not open with the numbers, particularly in the U.S., that it was expected to. Most were thinking 140, 150, only opened at 101. And then it does reasonably okay during the week, and then pulls in a $52 million number on the weekend. For many, this was a little bit better than it anticipated. So now what you have is this. Now this week there's only, I think, one major new release out. If Hunger Games holds again and maybe does a little better than expected, well then maybe it's even out. Okay, it's even out for that first weekend where it didn't do as well. So see, that's how you can't write anything off just based on an opening weekend, because it's starting to make up a little bit of the difference. It's still behind what the Mockingjay Part 1 did, but it's starting to slowly make it look better. You know, the gross is starting to slowly look better than it would have looked, you know, if it kept up the pace that many of us were anticipating a week ago. So Hunger Games gets good news. It has a great weekend and a great week, really, coming off of what they felt was a disappointing first weekend. And then you have Disney Pixar with its second new release of the year in The Good Dinosaur, which was delayed from last year. That's why I didn't have a Pixar film last year. It came in with 39.1 million over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is a very good number. A very, very good number, because see, here's the thing. You know, people always talk about, oh, animated movies come out during the Thanksgiving weekend. It's always an animated movie, you know, it's going to do well. Yes, but here's the thing. I think so many people get lost in the idea that, you know, if it only makes 40, you know, 30, 40 million, but like, oh, it should have did more than that. You know, kids are out of school. Here's the thing people got to realize, okay? Kids might be out of school, but Wednesday's a big travel day. Thursday's Thanksgiving. Friday's a big shopping day, and then there's Christmas tree lightings and all that from Friday all the way into Sunday. So it's not like the movies is the only option for entertainment over that 5-day period. There's other things going on. So it's not always a slam dunk that you're going to release an animated movie or a family movie. It's going to make like $80 million over Thanksgiving. It's not always like that. And people need to understand that. They need to understand that. It did what really I think most people would have expected. You know, around 40, maybe 50 million over the 3 days, and it's done very, very well. It's not going to do anything historic for Pixar, maybe not quite so much like Inside Out did, but it's going to do well enough, and it's fine. It's a pretty normal or to solid good release for this movie. You know, do well over the next couple of weeks and over the holidays. So nothing to worry about there. Now, one of the biggest surprises of the weekend was Creed. Now, you know, you all know this movie has had critical buzz. It's had a lot of enthusiasm and interest behind it. It's got a lot of awards buzz. But you know, that doesn't always translate into big numbers at the box office. At least not right away. At least not on opening weekend. Sometimes these things kind of go by word of mouth and they pick up over a couple of weeks. And you talk about Thanksgiving weekend, that's usually a big weekend for blockbuster movies, big budget movies. Not this was a small budget movie. It just, you know, it's not, it can be considered a blockbuster because it's very much linked to Rocky, obviously, but it's you know, it's not the Hunger Games. Okay, let's put it that way. Well, it did a very, very good job, coming in at 29.6 million over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is a great number for this movie. A great number for this movie. It's off and running. It had a very good first 5 days. You know, and obviously with the fan buzz, the awards buzz and stuff, word of mouth will carry it. It will do very, very well. So very, very promising start. And very much very much a surprise in how much it grossed in its first weekend. You know, I think most were going like 14, 15 million, maybe 20 million over the 5 days. It did very well. I mean, 30 million over the weekend. So that's a very, very good number for that movie in Creed. So congrats to Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, the whole cast there. It did a very good job over the weekend, and it's getting a lot of buzz, and I can't wait to see it. I've heard very good things about it. Outside of those, outside of the two big releases, which were Creed and The Good Dinosaur, And the third big release, Victor Frankenstein, was completely flopped with only 2.4 million over the weekend, and then fared much better on Wednesday and Thursday. And look, that movie was supposed to come out in October. It got delayed. We talked about this last week. I don't know why. At least with the night before being coming out with Hunger Games last week, it's still, you can justify a Christmas movie coming out like around Thanksgiving. But Victor Frankenstein coming out a month after Halloween, which is a weird thing. It really should have been in October, even if you delayed it from the first week of October. At least keep it still in October. Putting it in Thanksgiving weekend was just. I feel really bad because I personally was interested in the movie. I like the cast. I feel really bad about it, but I think the minute you saw the Hunger Games do a little bit better than expected, The Good Dinosaur do exactly as expected, and Creed did much better than expected, and then you see some of the holdovers like Spectre, the Peanuts movie, and even Night Before do very well. The minute you saw that, you had to go, uh-oh, for Victor Frankenstein. That's exactly what happened. It just completely flopped. And it's unfortunate, but, sometimes these things happen. You got 3 big movies coming out, and there's a lot of big movies already out, and sometimes they get lost in the shuffle, or they're just things that people were not interested in, and that's what happened here. It could have been a combination of both, and there might be people that's saying, hey, you know what? I don't really want to see a movie like Victor Frankenstein Thanksgiving weekend. I'm in the holiday spirit. I'm looking for an animated movie or looking for a big blockbuster. And this is a blockbuster movie, but it's more like you might be somebody that saw a lot of these kind of movies in October for Halloween. You don't want to be seeing a movie that you kind of attribute with Halloween a month after the fact. That's not to say that's the only time you can release movies like this. But you're just a month removed from Halloween. People are wondering, hey, why didn't this come out on Halloween? That's kind of what they're thinking. So the release date was probably an issue. There was just too much competition in it and not enough interest in it. It flopped. Like I said, the holdovers from the previous weeks, like Spectre, the Peanuts movie, Night Before, did very well. Spectre only dropped 14.3% to 12.8 million over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday period. The Peanuts movie, 9.7 million, which is very good. Only a 26.2% drop off. That's very good when you consider The Good Dinosaur coming out in new release and being direct competition. That's a very good number. And the Night Before held very well in its second week, only dropping 15.2%, 8.3 million. That movie draws over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday period. And you know what? It's only a $25 million budget, and it's right around 25 million, so it's going to make its money back. And for all the worry and all the times we talked about the release date and the mistake made there, and it's still at the very least going to break even at this point. And any money it makes from now on is gravy. It's bonus. So it hasn't done that bad, all things considered. It could have done a lot better, but it hasn't done that bad when you consider it made at least its budget back. And then you had A Secret in Their Eyes, which pulled in 4.4 million over the weekend. That movie, of course, again, for those that do not know, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Julia Roberts, and Nicole Kidman. Got some awards buzz going for it, and it's open and sort of kind of limited release. And it did that number over the weekend. So that's and it's a remake of a remake. So that not doing too badly despite the competition over the weekend. And there's a movie called Spotlight, which stars Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Reeve Schreiber, Stanley Tucci, and John Cena. So a very good cast. Opened in limited release early in the month. It kind of expanded wide over the week, over last week. A very, very obviously controversial movie. Getting a lot of awards buzz and a lot of talk. Check your local theater listings for this and The Secret in Their Eyes, because they're both movies that are not exactly in a lot of theaters. But yeah, Brooke, that Spotlight came in with 4.4 million as well. It's expanded to 299, which is very good. And a lot of talk about that movie. So again, check your local theater listings for that one and A Secret in Their Eyes. But both those movies doing well despite the competition. So they both feature really good casts and definitely are worth checking out. So a very good week at the box office, and a lot of things either exceeded expectations outside of Victor Frankenstein, of course, or hit expectations. So that's a very good thing to see over a big period over the holiday weekend, where you You know, you obviously every year the box office circles that weekend being a big weekend, but you wanted to, um, you know, until it actually happens, you don't know if it's actually gonna, you know, actually be as good as you hope it will be, and it did. So they box office did very well over the weekend. Uh, we talked about how these movies did over the 3 days. 5 day numbers weren't all that different. If you factor everything into play. Um, let's see here. I'm just trying to look at this here. If I can find the 5 day numbers. Anybody? I can't. I don't know if there's a 5 day listing up. Okay, I'm only finding 5 day. All right, so I don't think there's a 5 day list. All right, right here. I found it. There you go. All right, here we go. 5 day Thanksgiving weekend. All right, so you had the rankings were the same as they were for the 3 day. You had Hunger Games on top. For the 5 day period, it brought in 75.9 million. Good Dinosaur 55.4. So, you know, if you're that's obviously more in line with what people think when an anime movie comes out with Thanksgiving weekend. So it makes a difference when you include Wednesday and Thursday in there. Creed 42.1, which is tremendous. Spectre 18.2, which is great for a movie that's been out a month. Peanuts movie 13.6. Night Before 11.7. Secret in Their Eyes 5.8. Spotlight 5.6. And then a movie called Brooklyn came in right around 4.9 million from Fox Search. And then another limited release movie. This one stars Charlize Ronan, Jim Broadbent. So I'm not doing too bad despite the competition in limited releases. That movie either. Victor Frankenstein 3.5 million over its first 5 days, which again still is a very disappointing flop. The Martian came in with 4.4 million, which again in its ninth week is tremendous. So some people that didn't get a chance to catch that movie, Query went out to check that out finally if they had a day off or, you know, whatever. Love the Coopers 4.2 million in its third week, which isn't that bad, considering it. You know, considering the competition, it's only been out for like 3 weeks, and it's not something that a lot of people seem that interested in. It plays to an older audience, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle of all the other big movies that are out, but not too bad, that movie over the 5 days. So, all in all, a very, very big weekend. Lives up to the hype. Very big weekend. Everything either, again, met expectations or overachieved, and then of course Victor Frankenstein being the lone negative as it flopped over the 5 day period and of course over the 3 day as well. So all in all, the box office does its thing as expected. Now here's the thing, as is usually the case after the big Thanksgiving holiday weekend, next weekend's box office is a little bit of a break. Because usually, you know, a lot of studios shy away from releasing anything because, you know, some of the bigger movies from before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend are still out. They want to kind of let them simmer and burn out a little bit before, let those movies kind of do their thing before they release something else. Don't want to run something up against something that you think is going to get, you know, it's going to get swallowed up by. So no big releases this weekend. I mean, there is one big release, but it's something that, you know, it's kind of like, think of it as the studio throwing something out there and saying, well, we'll see what it does. You know, it's not something that really they have high hopes for. It's something they just throw out there. And then next week you'll have a couple big things. One that's expanding, and then another movie in the Heart of the Sea. It's on Chris Hemsworth. That's a little bit of a bigger kind of epic blockbuster that you kind of get around this time of year, epic adventure kind of blockbuster. And then the biggest movies of the year you will see the week after. One of the biggest movies of the year you'll see the week after, and with Star Wars, and then a couple other movies that come out that weekend. Sisters, Alvin and Chipmunks. So things pick up after you get through this week. And this week, of course, as I said, only will feature one major new release, and that movie is Krampus. a horror comedy from Universal, opening in 2,800 theaters. Very small budget, 15 million, starring John Jastny and Thomas, produced by John Jastny and Thomas Tull, directed and written by Michael Dougherty. Largely an unknown cast. Obviously, it's a seasonal movie, so we still got the right time of year. Not much expected of it. And with a $15 million budget, you know, you're not losing too much. And that's the kind of movie you usually see tossed out there the first week of December, the week after Thanksgiving weekend, because you don't want to take a chance and read something big and have it get kind of swallowed up by something else. So this is what you get. And again, really not much expected of it. $15 million budget. It is PG-13, so it's not going to be too intense, I wouldn't imagine. It's one of those kind of they classify it as a horror, but really it's probably more suspense. It's PG-13. And it's a horror comedy, so it's meant to be funny, I suppose. Arguably, some of these horror comedies I don't find funny. I think they try too hard. Outside of that, you got nothing except for maybe a few movies opening with limited release. The Letters, a drama from Freestyle Releasing, opening in 1,000 theaters, starring Max von Sydow, Juliet Stevenson, Rutger Hauer, and Priya Darshini, directed and written by William Riyadh, I should say. This is about a film focused on Mother Teresa. It's a drama, PG, so check your local theaters. And something a really interesting film about a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman. May she rest in peace. So I would definitely check that out. I've heard good things about that on in promos and commercials. And then of course you have another movie from the Weinstein Company called Macbeth. It's 2015 version. It's a drama opening 5 theaters. Marion Cotillard and Michael Fassbender star in that film. It's already opened overseas to 5.9 million in some markets, and finally opening domestically in only 5 theaters. Check your local theaters, and it will obviously be expanding over the next few weeks as well. I mean, all the other, a lot of other movies that will be expanding their release. You know, we're getting close to award season now. So you're going to start seeing a lot of these limited releases and movies expanding their release over a few week period, and then of course we'll get into some bigger. You'll get into Star Wars, some bigger movies late in the month, and you mix them in with a lot of the smaller limited releases that are more independent films. So the mix that you'll get that mix coming up and over the next few weeks. So check your local theater listing for any of these limited releases, any of these movies that are really going to be big on the awards circuit in the award season, and so just keep an eye out for those movies I mentioned. And of course, this week again, Krampus, the only big movie being released, and we'll see what happens. I don't expect much. Again, I wouldn't expect maybe more than 8 million for Krampus. I think Hunger Games will win the weekend again. I think it will drop to maybe around 20 or so million. I think Good Dinosaur will drop to around maybe 14, 15. And then I think you'll see Creed around, there's always a chance Creed beats Good Dinosaur, but I don't think so. I think Creed will be around 11, 12. And then you'll have probably like Spectre and the Peanuts movie drop to around 5 million. And then Krampus should come in right behind Creed, probably around 8 million. And then you'll have Spectre and Peanuts will be around 6 million, 5 million respectively. That should be how the weekend goes. So it won't be a terrible weekend at the box office. The holdovers will be the ones that kind of carry things through until you get to next week. So it won't be a terrible weekend like you see, like Labor Day weekend, or maybe the last week of October sometimes can be bad. There's no big Halloween movie out. It won't be a terrible weekend, but it won't. You'll see a lot of movies drop off, and there's not very high hopes for this weekend, especially in light of the last couple of weeks where there were very much high hopes and high expectations. So, but things will turn around. This is kind of the transitional weekend, and next week you start to slowly build things back up, get things going again in the heart of the scene, and the big ones hits, starting with Star Wars, which is obviously the biggest one of them all. So all right, so that's your box office story here. Now, the world of TV. This is the part of the show where we highlight what we feel or what we recommend from the world of TV, or what we thought was among the highlights of TV over the past week. And this is I mentioned this last week when we did our show last Tuesday night. I said this to Mike. I said, I think it's gonna be very hard to do TV highlights next week because over Thanksgiving week, there's not a whole lot on TV. I mean, a lot of the shows aren't really new. There's some reruns or there's some holiday specials. Some shows are new, like Doctor Who and Dance with the Stars ran their finale last Monday and Tuesday night. So you didn't really have a whole lot unless you have, you got some shows on Sunday and obviously you had some shows on last night too. And that's really all you had. Friday and Thursday and really, I don't think Wednesday had too much going on. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday really were not much going on. So a lot of shows really weren't on. So you don't have as much to pick from, but there were some shows did air new episodes. Walking Dead, Gotham did. I guess the Dance with Stars aired there, and that was the first time. It's people ask me all the time. We don't really talk about reality competition shows anymore on the show. And that's because I've stopped watching, like many of you have. I remember the first couple of years we did this show, people used to say, "Oh, you got to talk about American Idol. Oh, you got to talk about The Voice. How to do this guy." We haven't done that too much because all these shows just kind of fallen off. Well, we'll be talking a lot about American Idol in its final season. And as for Dancing with the Stars, I don't really watch it until the finale. I just pretty much since they did their all-star version a few seasons ago, I've stopped watching. Like, I don't even bother watching the entire season because there's just too many gimmicks and it's kind of a hard watch for me. I tune into the finale just to see the freestyles and then I kind of catch up on say who and then I kind of catch up on it and look at certain dances and then I watch the finale just to see who wins. That's pretty much all my extent of it. And I watched the finale and I thought it was okay. I mean, it looked like it was a competitive kind of finals. I didn't think it was the best finals. They were kind of hyping it up. I know the big thing was they announced that Len Goodman would be back in the spring, and it's so funny to me because I remember reading articles last year when they announced that Len Goodman would be leaving, and then obviously they brought Julianne Hough on last year, had 4 judges. I remember reading when it was announced Len Goodman was leaving. I was like, okay, you know what? That's a good thing because much as I appreciate Len and respect him, I felt like the show had kind of evolved past the point of needing somebody like Len who is so so traditional about it being just the show being focused on ballroom dancing that I felt like it was a good thing because the show had just evolved past that. Well, from the little bits of the season I've seen, the show missed him. You need that varying perspective because Julianne, Bruno, and Carrie Ann are all very much more contemporary. So you don't have enough of a mixture. You need Len out there to kind of cause a little bit of conflict, cause a little bit of variation. So him coming back, I think, will help the show in a lot of ways. In that. So, I mean, the finale was okay. I was very happy for Bindi Irwin and Derek Hough. It's funny when I was watching and I said, how many times has Derek won this show? And I found out it was 6. I said, it feels like so much more. I feel like he's won like 10 times. I mean, it's just, but he's good at what he does. And it looked, Nick Carter did very well. They got so many new professional dancers on that show. Like, I feel like, so many of the pros that I were around when I used to watch are gone. They've all moved on. And you talk about like Tony Debolani, Max Chmerkovskiy, and Cheryl Burke and Edita Skavinska and Willie Van Amstel. A couple more are still there, but I know them, and those are the ones I'm familiar with. And you still got Derek, you still got Mark Ballas. I mean, there's still a few there, but the show has got so many different professionals now. It's kind of you almost feel lost at times watching it. And obviously, Erin Andrews is there, and she's very good at what she does. I think she's a very good co-host. And Tom Bergeron was amazing. And the judges are good at what they do. It's just, and with Len Goodman coming back, there'll be a little bit more variation there, and I think that will help. I didn't think that was a bad finale. I mean, it definitely held my interest. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd call them on my TV highlights from the week, but it's something I watched, so I just brought it up for the sake of bringing it up. I did watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. That was always a fun. That's always fun. Good tradition, and it held up to that this year. And I'm sure anybody that went to it enjoyed the fact that the weather was just so nice. So I checked that out. Disappointed I didn't get to check out the dog show. I was talking. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody had asked me, do people really watch the dog show after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? I said, you'd be surprised. And of course, the conversation was like, well, the conversation went to like, well, I don't think too many people watch it. It's just that people leave the TV on that channel after the parade's over. And I said, no, you'd be surprised. A lot of people watch. There's people that bet on the dog show. So yeah, people do watch the dog show, and I used to watch it kind of as a little bit after the parade until I had to go off to dinner and all that. So, but I didn't get the chance to watch it. So that kind of depressed me. But obviously for me it was for me it would be parade, dog show, football. That's the day. But yeah, I didn't get the chance to watch the dog show this year. I watched the parade though. At least most of the parade I watched. But as far as TV highlights go, let me last week when we did this, I was very careful to be a little bit more vague because I got a lot of mail from people the previous week about spoilers and you're being too specific, and I don't get the chance to watch my shows all the time. So and you know what? I understand that, and that's why sometimes I try to be vague, even when I'm reviewing movies. I try to be vague, but then sometimes you can't be vague, and then I feel like if we're too vague, we can't even have a discussion about what we're mentioning. So, the best thing I can say is, at the risk of alienating people, whenever we do a segment like this, if you don't want to run the risk of hearing spoilers, maybe walk out of the room for a little bit, for maybe about 5 minutes, and then come back to check watching the show. Because it's very hard to always be that vague and avoid any kind of spoiler. Very, very hard. So, last week we tried being vague, and then people thought we were too vague and thought it was too dry. So you can't really win, but I digress. So anyway, if you're somebody that doesn't like spoilers or doesn't want to run the risk of being spoiled on something, maybe, walk away, go get some food or something, and then come back to watching so that you don't hear any spoilers that you don't want to hear. To me, the highlight of this week was Walking Dead. Easily. I know that for many, this season has been very frustrating. It's been a very derisive season. And again, so has every season the last couple of years, it seems. I've liked the I've enjoyed the season. I'm maybe the first 3 episodes I thought were absolutely brilliant. Since then, I think it's kind of come down to earth a little bit. I enjoyed last season far more as a whole to this point, but I think the second half of this season is going to raise this season up to being even above last season, at least for me, based on where I think the stories are going. And if you watch the finale on Sunday, if you don't understand, a lot of people ask me a lot of times, they say, why is Walking Dead #1? Why is it the #1 scripted show? And I said, you know what? Because they said people think it's a zombie show, isn't it? I said it's you know what? It's not a zombie show. The zombies are the backdrop. The walkers are the backdrop of the show. It very much is a show about how to survive when so much of the world has been just completely, run down and destroyed, and how to survive in an apocalypse, and how to avoid losing all of your humanity. How to keep as much of you as you possibly can. How to not lose yourself within this world. That's what it's about. And it's a really, like the last season and a half, it's really found that essence. It took it a while. Before it was just, I think it was more or less a zombie show. It didn't focus enough on the true essence of what it's supposed to be. In the last year and a half, I think it has, because it's focused more on the characters and their evolution than them just simply, you know, them just simply trying to find a way to, solve the crisis, or it just being a zombie show. And the finale, if for anybody out there that doesn't understand why The Walking Dead is the #1 show on television, why it's #1 scripted show, if you can, watch this past Sunday's mid-season finale. That epitomizes why the show is #1. The first 15 minutes and the last 5 minutes are some of the most intense action and drama you will see on any show on television. If not the best you'll see on television. And then in between, you get so much character development and character-driven material. And the story just moves effortlessly throughout. And it's bleak but hopeful at the same time. It's so well balanced. And they don't always do everything. I think in some ways they're getting a little too artsy. Like Scott Gimple needs to take a step back a little bit. They're getting a little too artsy now. I like the artsy stuff, don't get me wrong. I love the way they got rid of Tyrese. The episode was brilliant. I like some of the artsy stuff, but they're getting some of the things that they're trying to do now. Like, I think they're just, I mean, I can appreciate the Rhaenyra storytelling. Like, we started off everybody together in episode 1, and then since episode 1, we've seen different people every week, and everything comes together in the last week. That's fine, but you can't do that all the time. I think it's becoming too much for people. People don't want to see bottle episodes all the time, and you're doing these things too much. You're doing these episodes focused on 1 or 2 characters too much. You're doing these episodes where we get away from certain characters and focuses on a few too much. You need to get back to, maybe have a half a season now where we see mostly everybody every week. This so that people feel like, okay, we're back to having an actual well-balanced show. It's not that Walking Dead isn't well-balanced. It's just that I think you're starting to alienate people because you're doing some of these, and they are gimmicks. They're storytelling gimmicks. You're doing some of these storytelling gimmicks a little too much, and that takes away from the effect of them. So they need to back off a little bit on that. You look at what they did in the finale, pretty much every character was involved, except for maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Oh, actually, maybe 5 or 6. And that's okay, because we had so much going on that we didn't need that, and that's fine. I'm not saying you have to feature every single character, but try to focus on the recent majority of your cast every week, so that it just gives off, so that when you do decide to do a bottle episode, an episode that's focused on 1 or 2 characters, that it feels as special as it should. That's what I'm saying. But it was a brilliant piece of television. Brilliant. Probably the best thing I saw this week. If Mike was here, I have this probably. He'd probably want to join in this conversation. But I actually got the chance to watch a little Doctor Who on Saturday night, because Mike and our other sometimes co-host Justin was over the house, and we were flipping through the channels. We came across Doctor Who. He made me stop, and we watched maybe, I think, the last half hour of Doctor Who on Saturday night. And that last half hour was, I told him this off the air, Mike. I want to get into it. I just don't have the time right now. It's something I plan to do next summer with more time. In the summertime, you can start to watch a new show, because there's nothing else on usually. But what I saw of Doctor Who was just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. A great editing job in the final 10 minutes of that episode. Peter Capaldi was amazing. What was a master class in acting. Him, only a few characters in that episode. Him with the only speaking parts. Just an absolutely brilliant piece of television. So Doctor Who and Walking Dead, I would both put on a pedestal this week. I thought they were the best in TV this week. Outside of that, there really wasn't much else to watch, at least for me. I didn't really check out anything else other than what I just mentioned. I did check out Gotham. You know, we're talking about TV highlights, and Gotham, that was not a TV highlight. You know, I do think the show is better. I do think the show is better this season as far as consistency and being, and I like the fact it's more serialized. It picked a direction, it picked a storyline, it stuck with it. Everybody was involved in that storyline. All the roads converged in the finale, and everything made sense. It wasn't hackneyed. You know, I do appreciate the fact that everything is in line and everything seems more planned. If now, granted, it felt like that last season until around what 12 episodes in too, and then you know, right around the halfway point of the season when it all came apart. So we'll see how things come together when the show comes back from hiatus in at the end of February. Which I you know, a lot of people are angry about. I don't mind any of these shows splitting their seasons into. I much prefer having 2 half seasons where we get, you know, like 10 or 11 straight episodes in a row than having them a show come back and have a couple episodes and off for a month, couple episodes and off. I much prefer that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first season learned that, and that second season they started doing the half and half, you know, kind of thing. Blacklist did it, has done it. You know, now Gotham has learned after what happened to them in the second half of last season. It's better. It gives you a flow. Everything kind of comes together better. So I don't have an issue with it. You know, the post-credit thing for Gotham I thought was cool, but I'm not quite sure where they're going to go with it. I have concerns. I think they're introducing that character a little too quick. I thought when we first saw that character, and I'm not going to spoil it, he would not quite be what he's supposed to be later on already. Clearly, that's not the case. He's clearly already become the villain he's supposed to be, which I'm not like, I don't understand why they would do that so quick. But yeah, and of course, there's an ominous ending to the episode too, which hinted at maybe a character might not be as gone as we all thought he was. So, I mean, they left you with some interesting things, but there's some things they did in that episode that were just plain dumb. And while I can appreciate them going according to their own canon, I've highlighted that. I like the fact, you know, last season they felt like they held back. It's like, oh, we can't do this because this person's supposed to be this. And end of last season, it looked like they shot that all to hell. You know, they got rid of Maroni. You know, they committed to Barbara being a psycho and all that stuff. You know, I like that they had their own continuity in their own canon. That's fine. You know, you can do that. But there's some things I don't think they should mess with. And the characters that you know, there's certain characters like Gordon and Alfred and Bruce and you know, maybe Lucius Fox and Selena that you do not want to mess with. You keep the essence of who they are. And they've done that with Bruce. They've done that with Selena. They've done that with Alfred. In a lot of ways, they've done that with Penguin, maybe Nigma. They last night, and I'm not going to spoil what they did, but they went into some very, very, very bad territory with Jim Gordon. It's one thing for him to do some shady things to kind of get the job done, okay? But it's another thing to take him to the places they've taken him this season. I don't know what you are really making it very hard to root for him and like him. I don't mind him being a gray character. I don't mind him doing certain things. Okay, I don't mind him being shady and stuff like that. I don't mind that. I didn't even mind what he did in the finale when he killed the guy for Penguin that owed him money, because that was kind of like, it seemed like more of a spur of the moment thing. What he did in the finale last night was I think it crossed a line that really they should have never crossed. Now look, it might end up not mattering. We'll see what happens in the second half of the season. But as it stands right now, I think that could be a very big mistake, depending on where it goes from here. I did not like them doing that. That to me was too much of a jump. And they need to lay off the whole Jim's got a dark side thing. We've been playing that out for a season and a half. Like, we all know he's got a dark side. We don't need to know that anymore. And this is why I'm saying that Gotham really, given where they're at right now, we already have Penguin as the Penguin. Selina Kyle is Selina Kyle. Edward Nygma is slowly embraced this persona that will eventually become the Riddler. Gordon and Bullock and the police department's already on its way to being what it should be. We got the stuff with Bruce and his parents. Lucius is now involved there. I personally really truly think that after this next half of season, this show has to flash forward and become a Batman show. You cannot continue to go with the whole Gordon, procedure thing. You're developing too many villains too early. I just don't know how they can keep sustaining the show as it stands with the current cast and story. I just don't see how they can do it beyond this season. Without like further disrupting canon to the point where you're alienating fans. And I don't mind diverting from canon. I don't mind that. I mean, have your own approach, have your own direction. That's not an issue for me. It's just that there are certain characters where you don't want to go too far, and I think they've gotten to that point with Gordon now. And it makes me fear for what they might do to other characters. You know what I mean? That are just as important, like Bruce and Alfred, and what they'll do with those characters along the way if they continue to stay on their current course and not, flash forward to having an older version of Bruce or even Batman on the show. I just think that they've reached the point of like they can't go anywhere else with the characters at their current ages in their current state. I just don't think they can. So we'll see what they do, but it's a very precarious place that they're in, Gotham. Very precarious. And we'll see. But yeah, that's all as far as TV highlights. That's all the stuff I've watched on TV this week. And that's, again, it was a Thanksgiving. It's not a whole lot going on, not a whole lot on, but those are my thoughts on TV and some of my TV highlights from this week. Normally you get some from Mike, but he's not on the show tonight, so all you get is me. All right. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, I put in the show description that I put we would do some entertainment news discussion. And as I said at the beginning of the show, if we have some time, we might do some things with that. I personally didn't see anything over the last week that really I thought had to be talked about. Like, I didn't see any like major hot button issues. Obviously, the Captain America Civil War trailer came out. You all were crazy about that. You all sent me emails about that, asking for my thoughts on it. I'm just going to say one thing. It's amazing. Amazing. It broke a Marvel record for hits online for a trailer. So that's all I can say about that. It's just amazing. But there's not much else I can say about that. It's not really news. It's more something that happened and just give my reaction to it. And yeah, it looks great. But yeah, there's really not a whole lot of entertainment news out there right now that really I think needs to be talked about. Again, some of you sent in some things like what my reaction to the trailer, and I just gave it to you. And I know that might seem very simplistic. Oh, it's all you're gonna say is it's amazing. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say because that I can't say anything else. It's just amazing, and it's until I see the movie, I can't really say anything else. Other than that, I mean, it was really like other than that, remember, people you all have to remember something. You had you had the holiday, you had Thanksgiving, you had Black Friday, and that. I mean, this period it was kind of like a slow news period. There wasn't a whole lot out there. There was a little bit of news about a Rambo New Blood TV series in development at Fox. The 5th Rambo film is on hold. Sylvester Stallone will star alongside John Rambo's son in the series. That's pretty cool. You're seeing a lot more of these, maybe spin-offs of movies or spin-offs of movies coming to television, or TV shows based off of movies coming to television, which I think is great because there's a lot that you can mine there. There's a lot of things you can do there, and it gives you an immediate fan base upon your TV show debuting to work with, which is always helpful for a new show. The National Board of Review today named Mad Max Fury Road best movie, and Ridley Scott was best director for The Martian. Matt Damon was best actor for The Martian. Brie Larson was best actress for The Room. Room, not The Room. Room. Best supporting actor went to Sylvester Stallone for Creed. Jennifer Jason Leigh got best supporting actress for The Hateful Eight. Quentin Tarantino got original screenplay for The Hateful Eight. Drew Goddard got adapted screenplay for The Martian. Anime feature was Inside Out. Let's see. Best foreign language film, Son of Saul. Best ensemble went to The Big Short. So yeah, let's see. The top films by the National Board of Review were Bridge of Spies, Creed, The Hateful Eight, Inside Out, Room, The Martian, Sicario, Spotlight, and Straight Outta Compton. So yeah, so that's interesting. Now, as we mentioned earlier tonight, you are heading into like the award season, and you see a lot of new movies coming out, more limited release, and a lot of movies with awards buzz and stuff. So, what's interesting here is that, we always on this show we made a kind of a name for ourselves in kind of bashing the Academy Awards and their reluctance to award movies that seem to make money. Well, if you look at the National Board of Review, the best film was Mad Max. And then best director, best actor went to Ridley Scott and Matt Damon from The Martian. All of these movies are blockbuster movies. Creed will more likely be a blockbuster. Hateful Eight will more likely be a blockbuster movie. So across the board, the blockbuster kind of dominated the National Board of Review. We'll see if that's an ode of things to come. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Some of these limited releases, awards buzz movies, the ones that kind of only make like maybe $15-20 million, and then they get nominated for Oscars and such. There's not too many of them this year that are being highly mentioned for award season. There's more blockbusters that are being mentioned for award season, like Creed, The Martian. There's more of those this year. So it's good. To me, it's going to be very interesting to see because, in my opinion, this was not a very good year for movies. I thought it would be. It wasn't. There was quite a few big blockbusters that are good, and we still got some more to come, like Star Wars. But in large measure, I did not think this was as good of a year for movies. I really didn't. I didn't think there was a lot in the early part of the year. Furious 7 was good. A blockbuster stuff. Furious 7 was good. Avengers was good. Mad Max was brilliant. The Martian was brilliant. Ant-Man was great. Inside Out was brilliant. There was all those. I haven't seen any. I've seen Hunger Games, but I haven't seen Good Dinosaur yet. And there's a couple movies coming out this month, like Star Wars, Hateful Eight, that might be good. But really, it hasn't been a huge year. And when you talk about the smaller budget movies, the independent releases, it really has been a down. I think it's a down year for those movies. There's not to say that you're not going to see any of them get nominated. Like you're going to have Room. You might see The Letters. The Big Short is coming out. There's things that there's still some movies both of smaller budget and bigger budget and those in between that are still to come and could change the game a little bit. But I honestly think that it's gonna be a very interesting award season this year to see what dominates, because so much of the overwhelming praise that I've seen from movies this year has gone to Inside Out, The Martian, both of which edge more towards bigger budget, bigger budget movies. Mad Max also. And if that's the case, this could be interesting in terms of finally getting some movies that people, with bigger budget, movies that are, more in keeping with pop culture, movies that are more in keeping with what people saw. You get some of those movies nominated, then, it might make a difference with the Oscars. And if they get more people watching, because these are movies that more people watched, it might raise the ratings a little bit. And then maybe it changes the direction in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and so on, to in the late 90s, early 2000s, and to now, it being dominated by the more independent, smaller budget movies. And mostly because there's this like real engine that could thing, like, oh, we feel bad for them, and they don't get, if they get nominated or even win, more people are going to see them because they get more notoriety, and they get highlight. And I'm not trying to again, we talked about this on the show numerous times, especially back when we were on talk show. I'm not putting down those movies. I'm a movie fan. I like small budget, big budget. I like all movies. Okay, and 99.9% of the time, some of these smaller budget movies that are nominated deserve to be. Okay, there's only that 0.1% that once in a while one of them sneaks in. You go, why? Okay, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. What I'm saying is that there have been many big budget blockbuster movies that were just as good, if not better, than some of the movies in that respective year, and those respective years, that got nominated. That smaller budget movies that got nominated in those respective years, that got nominated. Okay, there were some big budget movies that were just plain out better. I just messed all that up. I apologize. Step back. Let's go back to it. There are some big budget movies that were flat out better than some of the smaller budget movies in some of the years that smaller budget movies got nominated in place of some of them big budget movies. And maybe if they had been at least nominated alongside those movies, it wouldn't be as bad. But the fact they weren't even nominated is even more of a crime. And that's all I'm saying. Fairness. Okay? I'm not saying, you have to nominate, I'm not saying a big budget movie has to win every year. It even has to be nominated every year. But it'd be nice to know that there's at least a chance that things are going to be fair, and it's not just going to be about how much a movie made, or its budget, or oh, let's get that movie recognition because it's only got a $5 million budget and it only made about $3 million at the box office. We want to make sure more people see it because it's cinematic excellence. No, we're not using award shows to promote small budget movies. We're using award shows for what they're intended to be, which is to award the best of the bunch. If that happens to be that movie that only made $3 million, then yes, that's fine. I might not always agree with that thing. I might not always agree with the winner, but at least if I know that you're going to be try to be as fair about it as possible, then I can live with it. But you cannot tell me that every single year that some of these movies that get left out of these award shows, like WALL-E and The Dark Knight, and maybe even an Avengers movie or two. I mean, you cannot tell me that some of these movies are not good enough to be among at least the nominees. You can't. And that's my issue. It's not like I expect I want the whole entire nomination list for any of these award shows to be nothing but big budget movies. It's not the case. But it shouldn't be all small budget either. At least not every year. That's all I'm saying. Give us a mixture. Give us a fair. Give everybody a fair chance. You went from one extreme to the other. You went from all big budget to all to the majority being small budget. Or movies that fly in the face of anything pop culture. And you see that a little bit in TV too, where the higher rated something is, and the more well-liked something is, the less it gets nominated. Some things, not all. There's obviously some very popular shows that do very, very well that get nominated, but we've seen some of the higher rated shows not get nominated for Emmys and Golden Globes, etc. So that's why that's which is insane to think about. If you want a sign that we're getting towards the award season, to hear me talking about stuff like this, it's definitely a sign. To see the National Board of Review come out with its list of films, best films, and the best in film, come out with that list is a sign that we are into the award season. It's going to be an interesting award season on the film side of things. It really is, because I do not, I couldn't even begin to tell you how it will go. I think we know The Martian and Creed should do very well. Looks like The Hateful Eight will probably do very well. Inside Out will be the biggest animated movie out there. We know that. Just be curious to see what happens with Mad Max, and during this whole thing as well. So should be interesting to see how everything unfolds. As far as news go, that's really all I see as even being remotely discussion worthy, and even then, this stuff could have waited. Again, really, none of you really sent in anything that I think is pressing. A lot of it was just you guys and girls wanted my reaction to things, and and a couple of the things I already talked about. Some I talked about in the box office beat. I talked about my reaction to the Captain America Civil War trailer. So a couple of things I already kind of addressed. So I mean, I don't think there's really anything else to, as far as entertainment news, that's pressing that needs to be discussed. I didn't really think there was anything, to be honest, but I gave you a little bit, so I negotiated, I compromised. And I don't like to just keep wandering around, talking aimlessly about things just to keep us on the air longer. So we're going to stop right there, especially since I'm losing my voice, in case y'all haven't noticed. So those of you that wanted some entertainment news stuff, you got a little bit. I tried for you. I found some things, and I went on even a little rant and rave for y'all. So there you go. So see, I'm a giving person. I compromise. I work something out for y'all that wanted some entertainment stuff, entertainment news or entertainment discussion. You got a little bit, so there you go, through your bone. All right, so we're gonna stop right here. As always, the show might be over. Does not mean that you have to stop contributing, stop contributing to our show, stop interacting with us. You can continue to send in feedback, questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, reactions or comments to things we did on the show, things we said on the show, topic ideas or breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. We got a wrestling show next Thursday, a week from this Thursday. We have a wrestling show. If you're a wrestling fan and you want to send any questions or comments for that, you may do so. It doesn't have to all be WWE related. It could be any wrestling organization, ROH, Lucha Underground, whatever you want to make it about. You can do any of these things via email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5, which of course represents our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and once you find our fan page, like our page. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling. Should anything change last minute, that's where we'll let you know about it. With the Football Blitz show, it could always change last minute, especially week to week. I give you all a time and a day, but it could always change because that's the way life is. So Facebook and Twitter, the best way to get late-breaking information about our show and the schedule of our show. So you want to make sure you're always cognizant and paying attention to our Facebook and Twitter feeds for our show. If you want to catch up on our show or watch episodes again, if it's current episodes you want to do that for, the only way to do that is still here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. So if you want to check out the last 18 episodes of our show, which is all of our shows since we debuted here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube back in October, which that includes this show as well, today's show as well. You can do that here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube by searching for us on Google Hangouts and on YouTube using the title In the Spotlight 411. So search for us under In the Spotlight 411 here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. And then you'll find us, and you'll have access to all of our episodes that we've aired here since we started here over a month ago on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. For those of you that are not a fan of of watching us online, of watching us, and you prefer to listen to us in audio format, again, we are still working on that. Our host site, their tech team is still working on getting things ready for us. It's frustrating, I know. I was hoping it'd be done before the holiday last week because I knew that if it wasn't, it would drag out another week, and that's exactly what's happening. So I apologize for that, but hopefully, I believe it will. I can't fathom it taking any longer than the rest of this week, but hopefully hopefully I'm right, and that by the end of this week it is done. And once it is, we'll have a host site for us, which will have all our episodes, both from our days on TalkShoe and all our episodes since we've been on here, an audio format for you to check out whenever you want. You can catch up on episodes. Everything will be on one page. It'll be so much easier. And you'll also have access to us on all of our newer episodes on iTunes as well. So that would be cool. That would be cool. So, so those of you that prefer us in audio format, you'll have the chance to catch up and go back and do repeat viewings of shows in audio format. And I know a lot of you like that, so that'll be good for you. If you're somebody that is a longtime fan that wants to go back and listen to some of our older shows, or maybe you're a new fan, you never checked out any of our older shows, you can still do that. You can check out our first 31 episodes ever of our show, our original 31 episodes, over on blogtalkradio.com. You can, and everything from that, after that period, all the way until we moved here to Google Hangouts and on YouTube, you can check out on TalkShoe, Libsyn, and on iTunes. On all these sites, Blog Talk Radio, TalkShoe, Libsyn, iTunes. You want to make sure for those older episodes that you search for us under our old title, In the Spotlight with Brian Gardner. Again, it's In the Spotlight with Brian Gardner. And then once you find our show pages on all those sites, you'll have access to our original episodes, those first 31 episodes over on Blog Talk Radio, and then everything from after that through our debut here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, you will find on TalkShoe, Libsyn, and of course on iTunes. So keep that in mind if you're a longtime fan that wants to go back through some of our older shows just for nostalgia reasons, or if you're a new fan and you want to get a sense of who we are and what we've been doing over the last 5 years, you can check our older episodes out on all those sites. And again, if you're looking for our more recent episodes, our newer episodes, you can check out and rewatch those episodes here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. And then hopefully sometime later this week, we'll have our new host site up so we can start putting all these episodes in audio format for you all that prefer that. All right. So with all that being said, that is it for tonight. Congratulate myself on a great show, pat myself on the back, and thank all of you for your continued support and your continued contributions to the show. We thank you so much for listening. To my co-host Mike, we'll see him back here on the show on Thursday. Hope his training went well and all is well there. And also, I want to throw out a shout out to my sometimes co-host Justin. He's going through a little bit of a rough time with some family stuff. So my prayers and thoughts are with him right now. And I hope everything works out for them. And I pray that they find the strength to get through this difficult time, especially during the holidays. So my thoughts and prayers are with them right now. And we'll see if he might be back on the show next week. He hasn't been on the show yet since we came here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, but he might finally make his Hangouts and YouTube debut with us next week. So we'll see. But yeah, so all right, so. With all that being said, that's it for tonight. Again, our next show will be Thursday, and we'll have 2 shows on Thursday. So, again, that could change. I don't think it will. In fact, I'm 99.9% sure it won't. But you want to stay tuned to our Facebook and Twitter feeds, In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and at In the Spotlight 411 on Twitter for latest information should anything change in regards to our schedule for Thursday. But as of right now, at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, that's December 3rd, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, December 3rd, we'll have our latest edition of the In the Spotlight Football Blitz. We'll look back at last week's NFL games, which includes the Thanksgiving Day games, look ahead to this week's NFL games, preview Thursday night football, talk about last week's college football games, look ahead to this week's college football games, which is the last week of the regular season, conference championships. We'll look back at the playoff rankings, talk about all the big stuff related to that and the playoffs. We'll do all that on the In the Spotlight Football Blitz, which will be our first of 2 shows coming at you this Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, our usual Thursday night primetime show coming at you at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, December the 3rd. That show will be our sports and wrestling show this week. Again, we'll cover Kobe Bryant's retirement, the David Price signing, any other MLB signings that might take place. Everything that's happened in college basketball over the last couple weeks has been a lot. There's been a lot of big things. And any other sports stuff we have to cover, we'll cover. And then, of course, we'll do some wrestling as well. Talk about all the latest developments in WWE and among other things. And it'll be a full show Thursday. Mike will be back, and there'll be a lot going on. So, in all sports, a double show day on Thursday. Football Blitz at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and our usual Thursday night primetime show at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So it'll be a sports kind of frenzy. Football at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then we'll do some NBA, some MLB, some college basketball, a little wrestling as well on Thursday night. So a full day, 2 shows on Thursday. This Thursday, December the 3rd, Football Blitz, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and our usual Thursday night primetime show covering sports and wrestling at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Both shows, of course, streaming live and broadcasting here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. So I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great start to your day on Thursday. And we'll see you back here on Thursday for our first show at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That is our football In the Spotlight Football Blitz show. And, of course, our Thursday night primetime show at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, which will be our sports and wrestling show for this week, where we'll cover NBA, MLB, college basketball, everything outside of football we'll cover on Thursday night. And, of course, football we'll cover Thursday afternoon. So until Thursday, I hope you all have a great night. And we'll see you back here on Thursday for our Football Blitz show at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody.